Zimbabwe's sacred mysteries, where ancient spirits still walk. What if I told you that, in the heart of Africa, there are places where the dead never truly die, where massive granite boulders hold conversations with ancient spirits, and where a single cave painting can predict your future? Today, we're diving into Zimbabwe's most sacred landscapes, places so spiritually charged that even skeptics leave believers. But here's the thing: some of these stories will make you question everything you thought you knew about reality. The Matobo Hills, where giants sleep. Picture this: you standing among billion-year-old granite formations that look like they were stacked by giants. Welcome to the Matobo Hills, a place so sacred that Cecil Rhodes, the man who colonized this land, demanded to be buried here. But here's what they don't tell you in history books. The local Indabel people have always known these rocks as the dwelling place of Mori, the supreme deity. These aren't just pretty landscapes, they are living temples. And when the wind howls through these granite cathedrals at sunset, locals swear they can hear the ancestors whispering ancient secrets. But wait, it gets stranger. The Matobo Hills contain over 3,000 sandrock art sites. Some paintings are 13,000 years old. That's older than Stonehenge. And according to local shamans, these aren't just pretty pictures, they are spirit maps, showing pathways between our world and the realm of the ancestors. The great Zimbabwe, city of stones and souls. Now, let me blow your mind with this next place. Imagine walking through the ruins of Africa's greatest medieval city. Massive stone walls built without a single drop of mortar, rising 36 feet into the sky. This is Great Zimbabwe, and it's about to shatter everything you thought you knew about African history. Between the 11th and 15th centuries, this wasn't just a city, it was the beating heart of a trading empire that stretched from the Indian Ocean to the Congo. Gold, ivory, and precious stones flowed through these walls like rivers. But here's the spiritual twist that'll give you chills. The entire complex is designed as a cosmic map, the Great Enclosure. It represents the womb of the Earth Mother. The hill complex, that's where the ancestors watch over the living. And in the valley ruins, archaeologists found something that defies explanation: 7 soapstone birds, carved with such precision and spiritual power that they became Zimbabwe's national symbol. But according to Shona mythology, these aren't just decorations. They're the physical forms of ancestral spirits, forever watching over the people. The legend of Nahanda, the spirit that never dies. Now, here's where Zimbabwe's spiritual landscape gets personal and political. Meet Nahanda Char Nyakasakana, a spirit medium so powerful that her name became synonymous with resistance itself. In the 1890s, when British colonizers thought they could just waltz in and take over, they had uncounted on facing a woman who literally channeled the spirit of a legendary ancestral figure. The original Nahanda was said to be the daughter of Mutapa Matope, a 15th century king. But here's what makes this absolutely mind-blowing. According to Shona tradition, powerful spirits don't just disappear when their mediums die. They find new hosts. So when Nahanda Char was executed by the British in 1898, her final words weren't a plea for mercy. They were a promise. My bones will rise again. And guess what? She was right. During Zimbabwe's liberation war in the 1970s, fighters claimed to be guided by Nahanda's spirit. Guerrilla commanders consulted spirit mediums who channeled her wisdom. The British thought they had killed a rebel. They had actually created a legend that would outlive empires. The sacred pools of Chinhoy, portals to the underworld. But Zimbabwe's spiritual mysteries aren't just on land. Some of the most spine-tingling stories come from beneath the surface. Deep in the heart of Zimbabwe lie the Chinhoyi Caves, limestone caverns filled with the most impossibly blue water you've ever seen. The local Shona people call these pools Kirarudziva, the pool of the fallen. Legend says these aren't just caves, they are doorways. During tribal wars, defeated warriors would throw themselves into these waters rather than face capture. But here's the supernatural part: their spirits never left. Local people report seeing ghostly figures emerging from the water at dawn. Swimmers describe feeling invisible hands pulling them down, and the water, it's so clear you can see 90 feet down, but nobody knows how deep it really goes. Modern cave divers have explored these underwater tunnels, and what they found defies explanation. The cave system stretches for miles underground, connecting to chambers that no human foot has ever touched. Some divers report hearing drums echoing through the water drums that match the rhythm of ancient Shona war chants. The living mountains of Nyanga, but perhaps the most breathtaking spiritual landscape in Zimbabwe is one that literally touches the sky. The Nyanga Mountains rise like sleeping giants along Zimbabwe's eastern border. At over 8,000 feet above sea level, these peaks pierce the clouds themselves. But according to local tradition, these are unjust mountains. They wreathe the physical bodies of ancestral spirits, so powerful they transformed into landscapes. The name Nyanga itself means traditional healer in Shona. And when you walk these ancient paths, you understand why. Every stone, every stream, every grove of ancient trees has a story. The Shona people believe the mountains themselves are alive, breathing, watching, protecting. On Mount Nyangani, Zimbabwe's highest peak, hikers report the strangest phenomena. Compasses spin wildly. Mist rolls in from nowhere, swallowing entire groups of climbers. People describe hearing voices calling their names from empty valleys. Local guides won't climb certain peaks during specific seasons because that's when the ancestors are in conference. They say the mountains hold court, discussing the fate of the living, deciding who deserves protection and who faces consequences for their actions. The eternal flame of Kylo Gorge. Now, let me tell you about a place where the earth itself is on fire. Hidden in the remote Gonarozo National Park lies Kylo Gorge, a landscape so dramatic it looks like it was carved by the gods themselves. Massive red cliffs tower over the Rund River, creating a natural amphitheater of stone. But the real magic happens at night. Local rangers report seeing flames dancing along the cliff faces. Fires that burn without fuel, flames that have flickered in the same spots for generations. The local Shangaan people call these the cooking fires of the ancestors. According to legend, the spirits of great chiefs gather here to feast and plan the future of their descendants. Each flame represents a different clan, a different lineage of power that stretches back to the beginning of time. But here's what gives me chills every time I think about it. These are unjust pretty stories. Modern visitors, people with no knowledge of local traditions, consistently report seeing these mysterious lights. Scientists have tried to explain them as natural gas emissions or phosphorescence, but no one can explain why they always appear in the same sacred patterns. The prophecies of Jiva Cave, but perhaps the most mind-bending spiritual site in Zimbabwe is one that doesn't just tell you about the past, it reveals the future. Deep in the Mashonaland region, lies Jiva Cave, a sacred site where Shona spirit mediums have made prophecies for over 1,000 years. The cave itself is unremarkable, just a hollow in the rock face. But what happens inside will shake your understanding of reality. Traditional healers from across southern Africa make pilgrimages to this cave, not for healing, but for knowledge. They enter a trance state, allowing ancestral spirits to speak through them and the prophecies they deliver. They have an unsettling habit of coming true. During the Liberation War, guerrilla fighters consulted the mediums at Jiva Cave. They were informed exactly when and where government forces would launch their attack. They were warned which paths were safe and which led to ambush. Commanders who ignored these warnings rarely survived to regret it, but it goes deeper than military strategy. The cave mediums predicted the fall of colonial rule down to the decade. They foretold droughts, told families where to find water, warned communities about coming diseases. And here's the part that'll keep you awake tonight. The current mediums at Jiva Cave have made prophecies about Zimbabwe's future that are still unfolding. I won't tell you what they are, but let us say they involve major changes coming to the entire region, the living landscape. So what does all this mean? Why should you care about Zimbabwe's spiritual landscapes? Because these places represent something we've lost in our modern world. The understanding that landscape itself can be sacred, that rocks and rivers and mountains aren't just geological formations, they are living libraries of human experience. Every spiritual site in Zimbabwe tells the same fundamental story, that the boundary between the physical and spiritual worlds is thinner than we imagine, that our ancestors are not gone, they're transformed, woven into the very fabric of the places they loved. Whether you're a believer or a skeptic doesn't matter. What matters is that millions of people have found profound meaning in these landscapes for thousands of years. They've built civilizations around these beliefs, fought wars to protect these sacred spaces, and passed down stories that have survived colonization, modernization, and globalization. Zimbabwe's spiritual landscapes are unjust tourist destinations. They reminders that the human story is deeper, older, and more mysterious than we often remember. They challenge us to see the world not just as a collection of resources to be exploited, but as a living, breathing, sacred space where the past, present, and future dance together in eternal conversation. And who knows? Maybe the next time you find yourself in a landscape that takes your breath away, you will listen a little more carefully to what it's trying to tell you.